Ladies and gentlemen, my name is TotalBiscuit, and I'm goddamn exhausted. It's day 2 of PAX. I think it was last night that did me in. We started at 7:30 a.m. on the first day, and we kept going until past midnight because we had the panel, and then we did signings and photos and things after the panel. So everything pretty much wrapped up around midnight. So that was exhausting. I had a hard sleep and then did another day of PAX, and God, I'm actually exhausted. I'm really looking forward to sleeping. The beds here are thankfully awesome, but hey. So let me talk a little bit about what we did today. We kind of had a lighter day than what we would have expected. We should have had a lot more games than we did, but we had a couple of problems. We had the first appointment was actually interfered with by the fact that PAX doesn't let you into the hall until they kind of feel that it's sort of right to do it. So they have this queuing room, right? And you go and queue in the queuing room if you want to get in first. And then there's the other entrances to the exhibition hall that opened after that, yeah? Now, in any other exhibition, what would happen is the media would get let in first because, well, it makes sense, right? We've got appointments to keep. We've got important stuff to do. When the public gets in, really doesn't matter that much. So if they're a few minutes late into the hall, it doesn't matter. If we're a few minutes late and we miss an appointment, so that's actually what happened there. So that's actually a problem with PAX, and that's going to be a problem the next couple of days as well, by the sounds of it. It would be nice if they resolved that. Gamescom and E3 do that a lot better, and I know PAX is very much a consumer show, but when you've got appointments to keep with developers, like, there's actual literal harm done there. So I think what we need to do is shift all of our appointments back about half an hour because we can't necessarily trust PAX to kind of let us in there. So we lost an appointment there, which kind of sucked. We actually rescheduled one with a game called Dragons of Valenia, which we got to play today. We didn't get to play it yesterday because we couldn't find it. It's in the Indie Mega Booth somewhere. If you haven't been to the Indie Mega Booth, it's damn huge. It's really actually quite hard to find games there. But Dragons of Valenia was being shown in the Indie Mini Booth. Only a single machine to demonstrate this game. But it was actually quite intriguing. It reminds me of a game that I believe was played on... It was an Unreal Engine game. It was an Unreal Tournament Engine game. And you could fly around like a teapot and on magic carpets and all kinds of crazy things. It was like something Heroes, I don't know if it was Sky Heroes or something like... Flying Heroes. Yeah, it was Flying Heroes. That was it. It was just called Flying Heroes. And it was awesome. And it reminded me very much of that. But this time around, they said it had a dragon flight engine and dragon flight mechanics. I didn't really understand what they meant until I took control of my first dragon and instantly flew it into a cliff face because I had no idea what I was doing. Actually controlling the dragons in that game is difficult. Once you get the hang of it and you kind of pitch them and learn to kind of deal with the momentum of it, you could go into these graceful dives and do all sorts of crazy stuff. Camera control's not really quite there yet. They do have a button which kind of corrects the camera. So if you're really disorientated, you can get it sorted out. But you get to pick a dragon and you get to pick a rider for the dragon, and each of those contributes 2 active skills and a passive skill, so you can actually combine the 2. It's going to be a free-to-play multiplayer game, and it's really cool. Actually, it's really fun to play and actually quite innovative in terms of the way it does its handling. After playing something like World of Warplanes, which I also got to play on day 1, compared to that, this is way more complex in the way that the actual aircraft or dragons actually handle, which is pretty cool. So yeah, I was impressed with Dragons of Valenia. That was not too shabby. Also got to check out 2 FPS that are currently being published by 505 Games, that being Takedown, Red Sabre, and Recoil. We checked out Recoil last year. I've got to say Recoil is way better now than it was. It's a much more impressive experience. Had a full 16-player team deathmatch on that. I did multiple rounds of it because I was just having so much fun with it. That game was inspired by the COD 4 Pro mod, which a lot of the UK guys will probably be familiar with because our esports scene for Call of Duty 4 was basically that for years. And it was awesome as a direct result. This mod feels like that, having played COD Pro mod. There's like 40 weapons. They're all available from the outset. There's no unlocks whatsoever. And it's got 7 modes out of the box, full mod support, dedicated servers. It's a solid, really fast game. It's just the right pace. The guns feel really good. What I found interesting about it, which I'll go into when I give you the footage, I've got loads of footage of that game, so I can definitely give you a really cool video on it, was that each of the weapons has a different sight on it, and they don't let you change them. Now, that sounds rubbish until you realize that a lot of the balancing of the weapons and their roles is based around the sights of the weapon. Because if you have, say, a red dot on your sight, on your weapon, yeah, then it's probably going to be fairly effective sort of mid to short range. If you've got an ACOG on it, then it's most likely going to be more of a long-range weapon. And there's such a variety of sights in this game that each of the weapons takes on its kind of own role. And as a direct result, using the M4 instead of the AK is a real choice. Instead of just looking at the stats, it's a case of actually looking at the roles of the weapon. I think it's very interesting. It's arcadey enough to be interesting, but also like their weapons are going off kick, and it's skill based enough to kind of be attractive to people like old school Counter-Strike players. So I think Recoil's got a lot of chance at being cool, and it's going to be $15. I mean, it's a very, very hard thing to ignore, so I hope that does well. Takedown, I was really impressed by. That's a game that I kickstarted a long time ago. I believe I promoted it on the channel, and it is the rebirth of Rainbow Six, like the real Rainbow Six, not Vegas, the real Rainbow Six. The thing that game does really well is it does like 4-player fire team co-op against AI opponents that are actually good at what they do, and a kind of kill house mission environment with some random generation. So like you'll go into the mission and maybe they'll be like disarm 3 bombs and then assassinate this guy. We did one where it was like you've got to destroy some hard drives, then plant some evidence and assassinate this guy and exfil, and you die almost instantly in that game. So it's very realistic, and it's really tense as a result. And the AI is really smart, so it does some really cool stuff that you don't necessarily expect. And the whole thing, like covering angles and and room clearing and things like that, it's great. It's actually legitimately great, and I'm so happy that it is, because if it wasn't, well, frankly, I would have been disappointed that I kickstarted that thing. So Takedown is fucking great, and I was really happy to play that. So I've got loads of footage of that, and we played some deathmatch, and I shot the dev in the head, which is ideal. So that's exactly what I was looking to do there. I succeeded in doing just that, and that makes me a very happy person. So, what else did we do? Ah, yes. We went to Bethesda, actually checked out Wolfenstein, and checked out Elder Scrolls Online. I've got detailed impressions of both those games coming, so I don't want to kind of go too in-depth with them, but I'll say that both of those games kind of have their problems at this state, and they're both coming in 2014, so I guess it's not too bad. They can fix them, but I've got a lot to say about what I like about them and a lot to say about what I don't. So they were both very much mixed bags to me, frankly. So I'll tell you more about them in my impressions videos. I've already recorded the audios for that, but we're going to have to download the B-Reel, which is like 8 gigs a pop, and the internet here sucks, so yeah, it'll take some time. Anyway, I'd just like to point out, by the way, if you watched the Dying Light interview, that was actually edited by Jenna. So if you liked that particular style with the the kind of B-reel being cut out, you're going to see a lot of more stuff like that. We've done very, very few dual commentaries this time because you said you didn't want them, so we didn't do them. Yeah? So we're doing a lot of post stuff, which means that if I can't give you direct feed, I'll be giving you B-reel, and I'll be giving you impressions over that. We'll be cutting B-reel in with interviews where relevant, but we haven't done a huge number of interviews this time because we haven't really seen the need to do so. More the solo impression stuff, more the stuff that you actually want. So yeah, there you go. Alright, so that was the Square stuff. We did go to see City Interactive stuff, but that didn't work out so well. Let's just say there was a miscommunication from them. They said, yeah, you can totally get direct feed, and then we found out that we couldn't. So we didn't go with them. But what we did do is we checked out a game by 17-Bit. Those are the guys that did Skulls of the Shogun, called Galaxy, which is a new game they're making. And it's a little bit Metroidvania, but it's also a little bit sort of Time Pilot, a little bit Jet Fighter, Death Star, Xevious, those kind of things. The way that the actual spacecraft handles is kind of asteroids, but a little bit more complex. You can reverse thrust, you can side thrust, you can use your momentum, and the AI is surprisingly smart. You can actually avoid a lot of it because they have kind of patrol routes, and you can dodge them, and they'll sort of have this sort of stealth element to it. He actually described it as kind of a mixture of asteroids and Far Cry 3. Which was a really weird combo, but it was pretty good. I think it's got a lot of potential. It seems quite interesting, and I'll have full footage of that for later on. We got direct feeds. Sorry if I'm kind of messing my words up a bit. I'm really tired. And then the last game of the day, which may very well have been the coolest, was Incognita. Yes, from Clay. New Clay game. It was announced quite recently. I got to play the pre-alpha. I played a demo of it. It's awesome. It is really cool. It is XCOM style, but you lead a team of corporate espionage dudes, and there's a bit of hacking involved and stealing data, but you also have to deal with security. It's got an interesting mechanic that completely turns on its head the way that, say, XCOM Enemy Unknown currently plays, which is like, take 3 steps, Overwatch, take 3 steps, Overwatch. Can't do that because there's an alarm level. and that means that you can't spend too long in the level because it sets the alarms off and it makes it way harder. And that's also linked into a bunch of conditions. Like if you accidentally set off a camera without disabling it, raises the alarm level. You kill a guard, the heartbeat sensor goes off, raises the alarm level, so on and so forth. So there's actually a lot of non-lethal stuff, a lot of avoidance involved in it, and the graphic style is like, hey, it's clay. Yeah, it's clay. They've got a brand new graphic style. It's really awesome, as it always is. I was really impressed with it. It's got a good solid cover system. It's got a facing system, which I very much like, and a bunch of different classes which have different abilities. Very much in pre-alpha. I did get you footage. It wasn't a long playthrough. It's about 9 minutes. That's how long it took me to get through the one level that they currently have. So, yeah, hopefully you're going to enjoy that, because I did. It was cool. Yeah, so, I mean, that about wraps up what we've done. We have a lot of other stuff in the pipeline right now that's kind of reliant on getting B-Real and cutting commentaries and things like that. And I'm doing what I can here to make the commentaries, but I'm also, like, working 10 to 11-hour days or so at the convention, then coming back and trying to do commentary, which is quite tiring. So I'll try and keep up with it as best I can. You'll be expecting content to just kind of keep coming at a steady rate over the next couple of weeks from this particular event. I think our coverage is a lot better than it was. I think that the formats work a lot better, so hopefully it's working for you guys as well. Obviously, you haven't seen enough of it really to actually figure out what's going on yet, but I think it works. It kind of annoys me because we're going down the route of everyone else. We're kind of doing the same thing. Like, just please bear in mind, I'm not insulting him here because he's awesome. Like, you know the way Adam Sessler did his coverage of Titanfall? His hands-on was about 2.5 minutes of actual coverage where he just talks about it and then cuts in B-Reel. We're basically doing that. Our stuff's going to be a lot longer. Like, my stuff for Elder Scrolls is about 15 minutes. I've got like 13 minutes for Wolfenstein and things like that. So it's a lot more than others are doing. We're not doing little short clips because I think like the short stuff is pointless for us. You guys aren't into that. But that's the way that we're doing things. And that's the way that a lot of these sites are actually doing things. And I'm not digging it that much. I would really prefer to sit down there and be able to do live commentary with direct feed, but so few will let you. And even if they do let you, the environment is less than ideal for it. So it's about quality at the end of the day, and it's about what you can realistically get out of a convention experience and actually produce. So yeah, at the end of the day, if it's good enough for Cess, it's good enough for me. So we'll do that, but we'll be a little bit more verbose about it because that's just how we roll. Would like to thank everyone that came out to the podcast panel last night. It was really cool. I think we had about 600, and it was a 1,000-seater room, so we certainly didn't fill it, but it was plenty of space for everyone, which was great. It was about 600 or 700. I think it was more than what we had last time, so that's pretty cool. We had a really long line for signing and everything. I hope that we didn't miss anyone. Thankfully, we went down to the lobby of the hotel, so we were just able to stay as long as we wanted. Those guys didn't care. We had security for it, so everything was fine. That was really cool. Everyone was awesome, so thank you very much for that. Big shout out in particular to the Canadian fellow that brought me that from Canada, Dungeon Keeper. That was the game. It's the exact same game box, actually, that I brought back from my first foreign trip to Canada when I was like 11 years old. It was really cool. And also a big shout out to our Brazilian fan that brought us some gin, which may or may not kill me, just saying. And yeah, it was a good panel. I mean, it was what it was. So our panels are always a little bit unscripted, let's just say. So, it was about an hour and a half of bollocks, but people seem to have fun with it, so that's all that really matters. Should be seeing a lot of that on Sunday, we hope, but I don't want to make any promises. Polaris obviously filmed the whole thing. I think they had at least 3 cameras on us, maybe more than that, so it could take them a while to cut it together, so just please be patient with them. Aside from that, got 2 more days of stuff, so we've got plenty more interesting things on the cards, things I'm looking forward to seeing. Strife from S2, I'm going to be looking at that. Containment was announced by Nexon, they'll be publishing it. It's a splash damage game. You might know it as Dirty Bomb, that's what it was called before. It's now called Containment, and we will be getting direct feed from that, so I'm told, so that's pretty exciting. That's kind of a big deal. I still want to play a bit more Battlefield 4 before I do my full first impressions of it, because I didn't really play enough of it, I feel, to get a good grasp on it. So I'll probably do another session with Battlefield 4, then I can tell you that. Obviously, games like that don't do direct feed, so it's going to be B-Real that you've seen before, but you'll get my ideas. And Titanfall is still kind of on the list, but right now, as far as we can tell, unless your name is Adam Sessler, you're probably not getting into that line as media. So we will see what happens with that. There are other opportunities to do Titanfall prior to it coming out. So if I don't get to do that, it will kind of suck, but I'll make of it what I can. And then, of course, we just have a bunch of great indie titles and a few other AAAs that we happen to be getting a chance to experience. We are going to Warner Brothers, so it depends what they'll let us see. I know we're definitely seeing the new Scribble Notes, which will be amusing, and I'm hoping we will see Batman Arkham Origins, and we'll probably look at some of the other stuff they're doing as well. So there's plenty of stuff to see, and there's an awful lot going on here. PAX is busier than ever. It's 4 days. It's damn exhausting. I need to go to bed. But hopefully you're enjoying the limited coverage we've put out so far, that you can expect a lot more over the next few weeks, and you can expect a lot of it to be done in the very standard style. You know, you'll be seeing alpha strikes coming out of this. You'll be seeing what could essentially be WTF is, because I'll just be playing games that are kind of almost out. So, you know, it's more a case of adapting the coverage I do at conventions to the coverage that you usually like on a daily basis. Yeah? So it's combining the two instead of doing a completely different format that you guys evidently didn't like. So, you know, we listen to feedback, and we hope that that's worked out for you guys. We hope that you're enjoying the content. So thank you very much for watching. I have been TotalBiscuit. I'm going to bed. It's so fucking tired. I'll see you next time.